Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Wolff Den presented by Win Again Academy. I'm Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. Today we got Michael Barnes on the show. Welcome to the Wolff Den.
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Today is World Mental Health Day. We're sporting our Same Here endurance cap. Same Here is a great mental health organization with the hashtag 5 and 5 that everyone is dealing with some sort of mental health challenge. So check them out. My brother, I have a twin brother. He has started the Same Here endurance team doing some Ironmans, and so you can support him and mental health all in one. Check out them for a little bit more information. And good to have you here. For the people in the audience who don't know who you are, give us a quick intro, and then we'll get into it.
Well, I am the managing director of Content with Teeth. I still don't know what a managing director is. It sounded official to me. I didn't want to use president or CEO, so I chose managing director. I have a background in filmmaking, so I thought, oh, I'll be the director, the managing director. But that's my title. We've been in operation. We are content creators basically at Content with Teeth. We specialize in copywriting and video production. I have, I'm an old guy. I've got a lot of over 20 years of experience, but our company has been, we got started in 2013.
And you guys are, before we also get into some stuff, you guys are a Southwest Florida company. You were impacted by the hurricane. How's everything where you're at and the surrounding area? Obviously, everyone's, hoping things get better and people are going to be okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for the concern. I mean, Mental Health Awareness Day is timely, especially in this area. Everyone's patience is people. Everyone's seen the news, and Southwest Florida is basically stretching from Naples in the south up to around Sarasota. It includes Collier, Lee, and Charlotte counties predominantly. And we just got hammered with Hurricane Ian. The area that we live in, that I live in, and where our office is located, we were built to withstand catastrophic weather events, predominantly hurricanes. And Babcock Ranch really passed the test. It's been in the news. It was on 60 Minutes last night. How this community, it is the first solar powered town in the United States. But we're just so fortunate. I almost feel like I look at other people. I drive around, and I hate to use this. It's kind of a cliche, but it's surreal. The day after last Thursday, I'm driving down this road to get to the highway, and there's just electricity poles just all slammed down. It looked like something out of a war movie. And everyone has seen the footage on the news, and Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel Island. Just the hurricane in some cases destroyed everything to just the base, the concrete base of the structure. So we're well, but this area is it's going to take a long time to rebuild here.
Yeah, for me, the flooding is always the most just eye-popping. Just you see a garage and it's 3/4 water, and just imagine if there was just water pouring through my home, how much stuff I would, we talk about material stuff too, but how much stuff would just be ruined, and stuff that's irreplaceable. For me, you could always get a new home. Obviously, it's a pain. My grandma, when she was alive, we had a bad hurricane here, demolished her whole apartment. She had to live in a hotel for a while, and then had to live in a rental for a while, and then came back to a new place. But it's just more of the other stuff, the inconvenience, something like that. Elderly people having to uproot themselves, and families just, having to start over, maybe move again. Businesses, small businesses who might never be able to to start up again. And yeah, living in South Florida, very fortunate. Been here 20 years. You know, I've had the one major. There's been damage. You know, and it's just a matter of being lucky coming out of it. It's, you know, your neighbor, right? I watched a tree fall down 3 feet from my car during a hurricane, but it missed my car, but it hit someone else's car.
Sure.
I watched the movie Mr. Harrigan's Phone this weekend. Very good movie on Netflix. Some really good storylines, and it makes you think. And one of the things was, it was this kid. He was in high school, and I'm not going to give the movie away too much, but there's stuff about death. His mother died. That's not any spoilers, but there's other death going on here. And he said, I never realized that, you know, that there are other people grieving, regardless of who they are, whether they're good, bad, you know, where they are, rich, poor, that there are other people grieving. He always thought that that he was special for having this grief. And as you look around, you know, trying to see, you know, how others are doing. And as we're on Mental Health Day, it's like you just never know what's going on. Maybe someone is having real mental health problems. Maybe someone just lost their whole everything. You know, no one walks around with a big sign that says, "This just happened to me."
Well, you know, I've seen, you know, I've seen posts on yeah, on social media, you know, we're like, you know, icebergs. You just see the tip of the iceberg, and 90% of it is underwater that you
Yeah.
don't see. And yeah, I mean, you know, I after last week, I was super stressed out, and yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I think empathy is an excellent thing. I wish there was more of it in business, being able to, you know, feel, maybe not feel, but understand and relate to other people's struggle, and that's there's not a lot of it in society today. Maybe that's why, you know, we have such mental health problems in our society. But
Got to be part of it.
I don't want to get on my soapbox here.
Well, look, this is what we're here to talk about. It's a big day, Mental Health Day. It's a topic. The iceberg, a very powerful image. It also relates to content, right? How do we tell a story? The interesting thing about telling stories is there could be two sides of a story, and they both could be right. When I talk about immeasurable data a lot, but I use these images like the glass is half full, the glass is half empty. They're both right. The people looking at the 6 and the 9 from up and down, they're both right. You know, so it's like when you talk about content, you know, that's just shows you how powerful that content can be. A small picture, not saying a lot, and that's your story.
Well, you know, I know what I'm trying to do is, you know, um, I went back in the day at, you know, in the early 2000s. I went to film school and studied filmmaking and screenwriting and learned how to tell a story. And lately I've gotten away from that, you know, and I'm on Twitter, and I see a lot of influencers and big time copywriters and marketers talk about narrative and, you know, building story, and I'm trying to, you know, get back to my roots and be able. Sometimes it's difficult when you know, with Google has a new algorithm update called the helpful content update, and you're supposed to satisfy the searcher's intent. You know, you don't want to stuff it with keywords and write an article that's, to a human, is just a bunch of keywords mashed together. But, you know, and I mentioned this, you can't, you know, tell a story for the first 500 words of a blog post. You got to get to your point and try and convey the information that that your prospect, the person searching for this content, wants to read
Yeah,
or see if it's a video.
they use a lot of Boolean stuff, which you know I have a lot of experience with. But even I have these Google alerts, and it's like if it has this, it's just it's so hard to narrow in on that, because if I said, you know, some golf term, you know,
Mhm.
it might show up somewhere else, because these terms are like they're using different they're using these words that could be anywhere else. Or in the days of the internet, if I have an article here but there's like 6 different articles down here, it picks up something on that, and all of a sudden that shows up as a search. It's that's why content from, you can give it to them directly without having them to try and look for it or search for it. I think that's always going to be the most effective.
Yeah, I mean, I always try and whatever we're writing, if I'm writing it or one of our writers is writing it, I try and always have at the beginning kind of the snippet that could show up in Google for, that answers the question, what is the helpful content? What is Google's helpful content update? It is blah blah blah. Content made for humans, not algorithms. Something like that. But yeah, no, that's smart.
How do you take on the customer's brand and tone and all of that stuff without really, from the beginning? Because that's something you have to do right from the start. Because if I have to sit here and guide you and tell you this, then it kind of defeats the purpose of having someone do it for you. But it does take that time to learn who you're working for.
Yeah, I think you have to read all of your clients, just thoroughly review them online, everything they've written. And sometimes you want to adopt the client voice, but you also want to differentiate the content from other stuff, and it could be other stuff for the client. So it's a very delicate balancing act between matching what is there and then creating something with, not a new voice, but a new shifting of the light, so to speak.
How big is the team there, and how do they work? Like, tell us a little bit about Content with Teeth. It's you've been around for a while now. Tell us a little bit about how it works.
Well, basically, we begin a process of, we'll meet with somebody. It could be a referral. A lot of our leads are referrals. And we meet with them and we try and figure out what is the challenge. Is it, lead generation? Is it, most of our clients come to us, they just don't have enough time in the day to do a content strategy. It could be the chief operating officer, the CEO, whoever, and they don't have the in-house infrastructure, or they personally, if it's a smaller business, they just don't have the time to do it. And they know that, content marketing, what is the statistic on our site? It's cost 67% less than traditional marketing strategies, and contributes like, a third more leads, something like that. So, people have heard the buzzword and they know that it's something that they should look into. So we meet with them. We thoroughly examine all of their channels, their site, and everything that they've created. And we have it depends on what we're doing. If it's a video, we try and examine in that discovery meeting that we had with them. We try and figure out the problem that they had, and then how this content will help solve that problem. And that's all we are, is problem solvers. We try and I'll get on a call with people. They'll want to discuss prices right away, or, they maybe they don't. But I always try and figure out, well, what is a challenge that you're having in your business? And, I don't try and do any selling. I just try and listen and get to the root of what's going on, and then see in another meeting, discuss how we can help, face that challenge that the business is facing.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to do because I've had calls with either graphic artists or content people that are very good at what they do. You can tell that, but not everyone is going to be a good fit, a good click. Like, it's just for some reason they can't get what we're trying to do, and part of that might be I could be very picky. The person could be very picky, but does that happen? Is that something you need to figure out quickly, because we don't want to waste time for yourself or for them?
Yeah, we don't. I would be, disingenuous if I got up here and said that every 100% of our customers are a great fit. That's not the case. We have a customer that's been with us since 2011, before we even, really founded the LLC. Um, and we've had a couple other longtime customers. We have other customers that we might do a one-off for, and it's not a good fit. My logic is, generally, if someone is, and this is kind of counterintuitive, but it's been my experience, if someone's like roaring to go right away, like, hey, let's get started, you know, that is, to me, not that I don't appreciate the business, obviously I do, but that kind of person at times, and not all my clients, but those can be the problem clients, because they don't think things through, thoroughly enough, and they're just kind of a little chaotic, and so that that's in our own internal. I've had other customers that we just started with did a project with a data analysis company in Tampa, and I must have wooed them for 4 or 5 months. I mean, it was like, and we finally got the project, and it went great, and they're very meticulous, and they don't rush into things. And some of the clients that call you up and say, "Hey, how much is this going to cost now?" Those are like the people that sometimes we've struggled with.
Yeah, and I mean, part of that is they're in a rush. You can't sort of rush this kind of thing. I would say whatever content you're putting, the first draft or idea is not going to be the final one. So it's you got to have someone who, yeah, sure, we need this sooner than later, but someone who's that I don't even know what the word is. We get that all the time. I've been at trade shows like, hey, where can we order? Like, we don't take orders here at the show. We'll be happy to have a conversation. Never heard from the person again.
Yeah.
You were all ready to order yesterday. How do you track success? What measures success of content? It's tough sometimes. Obviously, there's certain campaigns that are able to be tracked, but just content on a daily basis. How do you know what's working, what's not working?
Well, with if it's written content, like a sales page, a web page, someone wants a landing page, or they want a product or service page showing off their product or service, you can measure bounce rate, and that's basically over a given period of time, how many people show up on the page and then just jet and bounce away. They might not, if they don't opt in on a sales page. You can see how many times the button was clicked. For a blog post, you can measure, you can track the rankings. We have SEO software that we can check how well the piece is ranking over time. And those are, with if it's a video, you can, obviously the most obvious ones are, if it's on YouTube, how many likes it's getting, or, if the number of subscribers is increased. So those are, we have content kind of audit software that we use that can measure how well something is working.
I think it's also measure, like you have numbers. Sometimes, again, I talk about going beyond numbers. The idea of success in content and getting visibility. It's a lot of times that's hard to get measures. It's just, do we feel like whatever we're wanting to put out there is what it's a good message when I send that email? Because you never know what's going to get a return, even on a post, on an email. But if you feel like, hey, that's pretty good, and you could tell as you evolve with your content. I know that I felt like I've had some pretty good stuff, and now I'm like, no, this needs to be more clear, and it might be better. So, that's another thing when you're doing content is, let's not always figure out what the ROI is. What subscribe. People subscribe all the time. Who knows why they subscribe? That doesn't mean they're going to be a buyer. Someone might be your best customer. They never subscribe. They don't go on social media. They don't do any of that.
Yeah. Well, again, numbers are good, but that's not everything. Sometimes you can create something, a video or something written, and if you feel that represents your company well, and it's a good portfolio piece, I don't think, the bounce rate of it, who cares? It's like, but again, we're measured by, we have to talk numbers because, it's not cheap. It's a business, and everyone, when I hire someone, I'm not, I'm hiring them for results, not, kind of a good feeling, that reading the work or whatever brings, but I totally agree with you. I think that too much in marketing is numbers based and not quality based.
Yeah. It's hard because that's what people want. Sometimes that's their job. Hey, I'm spending this money. I got to try and figure out, what is it worth it? Like, and when are we going to see this? Because the return, it might be a year down the line. Who knows? With the way algorithms work and social media, someone talks about it, someone shares it. It could be 6 degrees down the line, and you might not be able to even track what that is. So it's got to be patience with that too. But everyone knows there's a sense of urgency, because if you don't have results, you might not be there 6 months, a year from now.
Well, yeah, exactly. I have to, and again, when I get that client that we were discussing, hey, how much it costs? I need this right away. You've got to educate them that, content is a long-term strategy. If you want immediate results, you're going to put up Google ads or Facebook ads. You're going to rely on a paid strategy. And not that content doesn't work quickly, but we have this client that I was telling you about that we've had since 2011. We started off with them just blogging. And we have old blog posts that continue to get hits. Not, people going to the blog and just leaving a comment like, hey, how much does this cost? Or, I have this situation. Can you give me advice? And, that's called evergreen content. And that, the client pays us nothing for that. Okay. They're not paying us anything. They're not paying Google anything. It's just there years. And we build up a library of 10 years of content for them. And they have a very strong base of leads coming in just from people going to old blog posts and leaving comments.
How does someone know when they need to change the direction of their content or ratchet it up, or when they know maybe it's too much? What would you advise?
Well, we have, a lot of our strategy for written content, if it's blogging, is we call it the And people that are watching this are going to notice that you and I are obviously into college football. I see some Florida colors on my left behind you, and people are going to see on my shirt. We're both into college football, but I have a strategy called the red zone strategy. And I think I shared this with you previously, Matt. We take your domain and we put it into SEO tools, and we see what keywords are ranking, bringing you traffic essentially. And on a search engine results page, a SERP as it's called, there's about 8 to 10 positions per page. There's at the top, there is the ad. There's 2 or 3 ads, a couple ads at the bottom, and that middle of the page is what's called organic. That's what Google is saying, or Bing is saying. We feel this is the best. We feel this is what you're searching for, and these are the results that we feel best match what you're searching for. And so what we try and do is we try and take content where you're ranking on page 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6, and then we try and identify if it's a high volume keyword, at least like 500 visits a month, and not insanely competitive. We try and take that keyword, and there's an SEO strategy called the skyscraper approach. And we look at what's ranking 1, 2, what's on that first page of Google, and we try and outperform it. We try and build a higher skyscraper. It could be infographics, it could be video, it could be more visuals, it could be a longer post, it could be a shorter post, using the keyword, the appropriate keywords. And that's a strategy, that a content strategy that we use, and we've had success in getting results for clients.
So let's give a little bit of example. If you Google ticket time machine, if you Google commemorative tickets, if you Google souvenir tickets, it's gonna hit it. We're at the top.
Sure.
What you've shared this with, but what's an example of something that might not be so obvious but could be relevant, that's also not as competitive, that could push someone? And I guess when you talk about what you mean by competitive, is it out there so much? Does that mean that a lot of people are using that, or a lot of people are searching? So you want to find what are people searching a lot for that not a lot of people have in their content, right?
Well, that's essentially keyword research. You don't want to spend time and resources for something that hardly anyone is searching for, you know? And, but there's also sense in that we're both smaller companies. I can't compete with huge agencies for, content marketing, you know, Brafton and the bigger agencies dominate that space, HubSpot and all these companies. But I can do what's called a long tail keyword, like 2 keywords or more. Content marketing, Southwest Florida. Content marketing, Florida. Is content marketing good for businesses? Something like that, And that's a way, when we do a strategy, we try and identify longer tail keywords that aren't as competitive, but will still generate search results. So it might be ticket memorabilia, Florida or something like that. I would have to look at the keyword research that we did for you guys, but yeah, it basically, you just want a more detailed query that is not as that isn't as competitive and dominated by the bigger players in the space.
Yeah, for someone like me, again, top of the line SEO, I guess, whatever you want to call it. If you're Googling commemorative tickets, souvenir tickets, those are the big ones. I get emails every week, and I say, "How'd you find us?" Well, we just did a Google search. So for someone like me, and we've talked about it, but tell others in the audience, that might not be the thing that we need to focus on. What are the other types of things in content marketing that you would help a company with?
Well, I would, it's something like 60% of people don't scroll past the above the fold section of your website, of your homepage. Above the fold is, kind of like it's an old newspaper term, above where you folded the newspaper. So the bottom section of your website, 60% of people never see that. So we suggest people put some kind of lead magnet on a banner at the top of the website. Okay. And put in some scarcity, um, you know, 3 reasons you should why you should buy a souvenir ticket today, and then ends next week or for a limited time or something like that. So people feel like, oh no, I got to move on this now, or it might, if I come back to it, it won't be there. And then you write you create a lead magnet, a video or a ebook, a white paper. People click on that band, they go to a form, and they can download the video or the white paper, the piece of content, in return for their contact information. And
Yeah.
then you do email marketing. You do a nurture campaign to reach out to these people and nurture them after you contact them directly.
I think most people, and I'm probably I need to update my website. I don't use it as often as I should, and I will. We're working on some e-commerce stuff, so we're going to be using the website a little bit more. But I think a lot of people in their content don't use CTAs enough, which is call to action, right?
Sure.
They have all this great content. It's not what is it, enticing me to do when I get there. It should always have some type of call to action, your emails, any type of content. But I feel like most people don't use that.
Well, yeah, you should have a CTA right above the fold in the bottom right or wherever on the page. Usually your eye goes to the bottom right. You should have your headline, a sub headline, a dynamic image, and some kind of social proof. Ticket time machine rescued my marriage, smiley face, or something like that. And that should all be on the top half of the website, because most people don't scroll to the second half of your homepage. And those are, I think we're talking content. And let me tell you a story. I had this guy contact me, and I think he was a founder of a local business, and I went to his site, and it was beautiful. It was like beautiful images, beautifully written words. But I'm going through the website. I had no idea what the guy did. It was like, I need to know what your business is, like, right away. And I think that's what a lot of people, maybe it's because they're using, the web design developer, the content person wants all their words on there, and they've got like too many cooks in the kitchen. But it was a beautiful website, but I just did not know what this guy's business was after reading it for like 15 minutes. And that's a problem,
Yeah, you need to know. You need to know, be able to know right away. 'Cause you don't want to make them have to work. Nobody wants to have to work to try and figure out what's going on here, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
It's and that's a big problem too. What's the difference in the world of marketing and content today with phones? Because back in the day, you go to the website. Now you're on a phone. It reads differently. It's a different experience on your phone, and it's not. You have to be able to I guess harness that experience, right? The stuff like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, most of these sites, social media, they're pretty constant, web, computer, or phone. But websites and other types of content not. It's not. And so how do you combat that?
Well, yeah, I don't know what the breakdown is, but you will be penalized by search engine if you're not mobile responsive. And what does mobile responsive mean? If your phone, if your site or your content does not look good on a mobile phone, they will ding you. Okay. And that's the first thing. I mean, and this has been around for, yeah, 8, 9 years. But still, I will still run across, a site that on a phone it doesn't, and it's not that hard to do. I mean, you can use WordPress and different page builders in WordPress to make your site mobile responsive. But if anything, if anyone's watching this and they want a takeaway, make your site mobile responsive. Because it'll be, no one wants to navigate something with toothpicks, and so, um, I mean, that's the rise of mobile. We've had that for several years now. That's not new, but you still see issues with that with some sites.
Yeah, and that's just a matter of whoever's doing your website sometimes.
Mhm.
I'm a PC guy. I have a Mac here, but I use the term PC. I love to do everything at my desk in front of a computer off my phone, but that's just not the way. You got to do it on tablets and on laptops. It's just
Yeah, I like when I gotta mellow out. It's Mental Health Awareness Day. I type, I'm slamming the keys, and I had my R key was like non-responsive. So I have to send my computer back to Apple, you know, and I didn't have a computer for a week. And so I had to use my wife's tablet.
uh,
And it was just, I'm like you. I'm used to either a laptop or a desktop. And I mean, I do things on my phone, obviously, like everyone, but when it comes down to working, it was a huge learning curve for me to
real pain.
acclimate to a tablet.
These days, that you can have a mouse and a keyboard attached to your tablet or your
Oh,
better,
I did, yeah.
but it's not, for some reason it's not the same. I'm looking at my keyboard and my S is faded more than anything else. I don't know. I wonder if that's normal or not. You had an R. You had a problem with the R. My S is faded. They're all working, but the S has clearly been hit more than everything else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it just, I don't, I mean, I probably the best thing I did in high school. I mean, I did but was take a typing class. It was kind of, it wasn't officially a class. It was just kind of a, you know, like if you had study hall or something, you could go and learn how to type. And yeah, that was, but I don't know if, if they were like, maybe I was like typing and getting ready to go to football practice. So I'm getting too like, aggressive with the typing, but
My mom was a typewriting teacher in high school in New Jersey,
mhm,
and that was back in the day when you were using a typewriter, not a computer.
mhm,
And then she got injured at school and moved on from that. But I'm a pretty fast typer. It's
mhm.
interesting because when I was taking tests, like looking for work, I would get very low words per minute because they don't allow you to go back, which is not reality. Like I don't need to type it perfectly. I can type it, mistake, go back as I see it, and I'm very quick at that, and still do better than if someone has to take the time to do perfect.
Sure. Well, you should write content. Again, I keep saying this. If anyone's going to learn, don't make it perfect. If you've got to write something, sit down and just pour your head out. Do not edit yourself, and just you're saying, "Oh my God, this is going to sound terrible." You're reading it. Don't worry about it.
I meant more of an error if I spelled the word wrong. They don't let you.
Oh, okay.
I also agree with not
Yeah,
Like
I'm
just
just trying to take our typing analogy to content, like don't make it perfect. Just get
right.
it out of your head in a barf draft
Yeah.
and then refine that because there's nothing worse than staring at a blank screen, you know?
Yeah. I
So
had I have this article that I want to write. It's been on my list to do for like maybe a month or 2 months. I had this, and I just haven't had time to sit down and do it. But I think that's probably good advice. Is to just like write it whenever I have 5 minutes. Write it, start it, and then let it go instead of writing it all.
well,
Because people kind of forget a little bit of what you thought. That's why you need to. Sure, people have these notes of these ideas, and you go
mhm.
back and you're looking. You're like, well, I don't know what the heck this means. It was a funny Seinfeld one. Because he had all these notes and he had no idea what it meant. But
Mhm.
writing these notes about little things will help you later on as you're trying to write the content.
Well, some people do their best brainstorming in the shower, walking their dog,
Yeah.
taking care of their cat, driving. Sometimes I'll walk the dog, and there's an app called Rev, and you can just talk into your phone and then transcribe it inexpensively, and you have a rough draft. And don't try and edit yourself. Just go stream of conscience, talk into Rev, transcribe it, and then you have a Word doc and you have a rough structure that you can then writing is rewriting, and as long as you get something there, it's a lot easier to work with than to face the terror of the blank screen or the blank page.
Yeah, people are very really intimidated by the content. I think there's probably a lot more people who should be writing content because they have some good content and they just don't. Um, Time, yeah, sure, time is one of it, but they're just, I don't know, they're afraid about what people think. That there's no such thing as really bad content. I say that in the word like you put stuff out there, it might not be great content, but it's not like it could just be all right. We'll move on. It wasn't great as long as it's not offensive or anything like that. You would think it's just put it out there. Let other people. That's the other. Let others. Other thing. Let other people decide if your content's good or not. You're not
Well,
the best. Probably not the best judge of what your content, right?
yeah, and I think if you have content, it's good because most people don't, and if you are taking the time to write something or to make a video or whatever, social media, and you get it up there, um, you know, that's huge, you know, and enemy is or perfection is the enemy of good. You can spend way, in marketing, they have this thing called the minimum viable solution.
Yeah,
You know,
MVP, Venable. Yeah,
yeah, you've heard that. It's like what is the least amount I have to do to accomplish something? And you don't want that to really be, obviously you want to do good work and you don't want to throw up, splatter against the wall, but too many times I've been in a situation where the client is spending hours, if not days, like obsessing about something really minute that defeats the purpose of the overall strategy.
yeah. Waiting too long to just like put it out there. Let's let
Hmm.
Jesse Cole of Savannah Bananas said we're gonna let the fans decide. We do stuff, we experiment, we're gonna let the fans decide. And you'll get feedback and you'll see what works and what doesn't, and you'll change it. But a lot of times you're better off just putting it out there and than not, right? It's not perfect. What you don't want to do is put something out there that is if people think it's not a great quality, that they're going to think, okay, your stuff is not going to be good. That's a lot different. Like if you have a prototype maybe of a product and it's not ready, and you say, you have to take the chance. If I'm putting this out there as a prototype, are people going to understand this is a prototype? We're still working on it. This is sort of the idea of where we're going, as opposed to just content on, you know, anything else, services or other types of products that are constantly evolving anyway.
Yeah, I think that if you're trying to create and we're making a webinar on this. It's going to be probably in December. How to write content even if you hate writing. And I'll let you know when we've got that ready. But one of the things I'm going to be talking about is just shy away from that perfectionist mentality, because it's defeatist. Get it out there, like you said. Let other people decide instead of your own inner critic.
Yeah, we're always our own worst enemy. We're always like can't get
Mm.
out of our own way. We're you talk about obstacles. I mean, it's you. A lot of times it's you.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
the content that you guys put out. Also, you have a show podcast called Content with Teeth. Talk about that a little bit. I was on it. That'll come out soon. We had discussed, but tell everybody what is it and where can they find it.
Yeah, it's called The Come Up. If you search on YouTube, it's a video podcast featuring up and coming, dynamic entrepreneurs in Southwest Florida and beyond. And you are the beyond aspect of in South Florida, which I lived in 10 years in South Florida, so I'm very familiar with the area. But we you can find it on YouTube. Just search for Content with Teeth, and you can also find it on our site on the blog section. It's a video blog on contentwithteeth.com. Just head over to the tab that says blog, and you'll see all the episodes as well. And yeah, we've done well. We've gotten, it's been up for like 4 or 5 months, and we have like 800 subscribers now. And we're trying to, we're taking a little bit of a break now from the come up, because we're planning this webinar that I was mentioning earlier. But yeah, you must go watch it to see Matt Wolff. He will be up soon.
Yeah, we're looking forward to sharing that, and it was a good conversation. Again, check it out. Everything here we've been putting on the Content with Teeth /blog. They have a link tree. They'll give some more information if you want to go a little bit deeper than just the website. And that was the quote that you guys have on your website about 90%, 62%, and 3 times the leads. And then you had mentioned rev.com, speech to
Mhm.
text. There's a lot of good resources like that that people use. And notes. I put notes. I send myself Facebook Messenger stuff, either just websites or pictures of stuff that I've taken, and then go through that. I find that's a good way, if you send it to yourself, to go through and be like, all right, I can look back and see what should I be looking at, or what should I write. I still have a ton of stuff that I've written that is like either topics or people that I should talk to or ideas. It's hard to get through all of them. That's why get it in your mind, get it on paper, make some sort of action for it. That's my advice on how to get things done, because otherwise it just piles up, and now you got stuff for months and months that you haven't gotten a chance to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I use the notes tab on my phone, and I still use the notebook. I mean, I'm old school. I'll write it in my notebook, and then I'll never find it again.
Yeah, I do that a little bit too. I got a lot of a lot of post-it notes here that has sort of stuff.
uh,
What should I
yeah.
be doing? I think content. It's interesting. You have great names, great slogans, stuff that's very visual. All of that is very helpful with content and your brand. Putting together a brand. What are some brands or companies that really you think put out excellent content, consistently?
Well, I think of in marketing, it depends on, I'll first look at the marketing space. I think Neil Patel, um, he's kind of the guru of digital marketing, and he just puts out so much content. It just blows my mind. And I love,
He's in South Florida, because my friend mentioned Neil Patel, and I actually have a friend, Neil Patel. that he knows. So I thought for a second he was thinking about him, but I'm like, no, he's an attorney.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't know where Neil Patel is at home. I think of him and HubSpot. HubSpot. Anytime you Google anything marketing, if you type in, what is keyword research, you will find a Neil Patel article, a HubSpot article, and um, with Neil's stuff, his writing is so, and I try and emulate this, and it's difficult. I mean, it's like very one sentence paragraphs. It's so easy to read. And when I write something, I gotta resist, I gotta simplify, simplify, simplify. Short sentences, 1 to 2 sentence paragraphs, and that's it. Lots of visuals, and I think he's kind of a god of marketing, and those are two very well known names. Um, I'm thinking of other companies that I think Red Bull is dynamic. I mean, I like their commercials, and they're so iconic because Red Bull gives you wings. It their message fits very well with their product. So off the top of my head, those are some marketing and other brands that I think that do well. You know.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 on the Red Bull commercials. I think they're interesting. They're funny, but I do think they have a very good. I think you understand Red Bull gives you wings. Like if you're on a trivia show and they start to give a logo or a slogan and you know who it is, that's great. Some are just because they're such household names, and some are just because they've really beaten that into you.
Oh yeah, well they got a big budget, but
My favorite is Nike. It always going to be Just Do
oh
It. To
yeah,
me, and they've done a good job with that, with the content in my eyes. You got to have. You can't just stand alone on your name or on your stuff. You got to keep pushing forward. There's new customers to be had, and it's always evolving. So it's always good to reevaluate. Do like a brand evaluation, a content evaluation. How often do you think someone should do that?
I would say at least once a year, if not twice.
That often?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, if you're creating one blog post a month, I don't think you need to, maybe do two, but at least if you're, it depends really how much content you're creating.
Yeah.
But we try and if you're, if you have a budget for content marketing, you should be doing an audit at least once a year.
Do you think you can post too much on social media? Too much content is on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter. Are you sort of um, the message is just muddled,
Well,
or
I think some people think they confuse quantity with quality,
yeah,
and it's like the more I generate, and less is more sometimes. And I know we had an entire calendar for October that we've just put aside because we have a hurricane now, and this area is you know, we just don't feel that it's the right time to be shilling for business, and in considering what's going on here. So we still have a few posts going out, but we're putting all of our content on hold while this our area recovers from Hurricane Ian.
yeah, that's a strange situation. My feeling, I've been there before, is if you're a company that is known to be compassionate and to be supportive and really have a pulse on the world around you, that it's okay to kind of move forward a little bit. You don't want to be someone who's because if you are posting that stuff, people don't want to just think, well, he's only posting this stuff because whatever, it's going to get him visibility. They think that's the right thing to do. You can tell the people who just once a year do that type of stuff, or that's the brand of the company. That's what they do. That's who they are. I think people can see that. So, I mean, no, business goes on, and I say that with sympathy and compassion for everyone who's been. Life goes on, business goes on. I have the same situation when I've lost a family member. It's like this life goes on. It's why it's a big thing in the mental health is you have to grieve, and you got to let it out, and but you have to move forward. You always have to move forward in business and life, because the world, ironically, aside from 2020, the pandemic, the world just doesn't stop. Like that's once in a lifetime when the world just stops. And I think that gave a lot of people opportunity to look at what they're doing and who they are, which I think was very good. But that doesn't happen very often. We don't get those chances to do that. So we got to be doing that on a daily basis. And but life moves on, and we got to move with it. Otherwise, we're going to get left behind.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we just, since we're headquartered in Southwest Florida,
I can feel
it was a time to take a break. But yeah, I totally agree.
Everything, like knowing when to do something is just, even in content,
Mm-hmm.
just knowing when to do something. Is it the right time? You kind of just take a stab. Most people don't know when the right time to do anything is. Really, we just take an educated guess, and hopefully you're right on it. Or if you're not, you can make adjustments.
Yeah. No, I think I think it's better to be proactive as opposed to kind of like silence. A vacuum is not persuasive. So, I think you can get your message out and, not look like some kind of huckster or, shyster that's trying to, exploit a situation. But yeah, I agree.
Is there a local cause that you'd like to elevate and talk about that's doing good work in the recovery process? Anything that comes to mind?
Well, obviously the Red Cross is, they help a lot of people here, and there was I was watching the news last week, and there was a organization that's going into really remote areas of this community that, and I didn't I should have written it down when I should have written it down because I don't recall the organization's name, but it's like they're interviewing people that just don't have like basic water and like the ability to soap and toothpaste and things like that, that just people that lost everything. And but yeah, I think if you we're going to be releasing some social media posts as well as an email to our list of resources here in the area, specifically targeted for businesses to get back on their feet again. So keep a lookout for that.
Yeah, you guys have a newsletter as well, and I find it helpful and not overwhelming. Like I'm not going to read your newsletter every day.
Mm-hmm.
So how many newsletters I have a bunch of them coming in. I put them. So I think people who put too much, like I get twice a day or once a day from some of these people. I'm just like, it's going right into the folder. I'll take a quick look.
Yeah.
If I get a little bit less and have better content and more meaningful content, I might be like, hey, once a week, I'm going to sit down and do that. So take a look at go to contentwithteeth.com. You can find everything there, the newsletter, the show. If you want some information on how they can help you with your content, check that out as well. It's all there on the website down here, Content with Teeth, or the link tree. Find them on YouTube and social media. Looking forward to seeing the information about the webinar. It sounds like some pretty good content that people can look at. So we'll share that information whenever that's around. My episode on the show will be airing. We'll share that when we get. And appreciate your time here.
Great.
Hope everything goes well with the recovery. We're going to let you out of the Wolff Den with the same question everybody gets. You can spend the day with anyone in the world. They have to be alive, and you can't be related to them. who would you choose and what would you guys do?
If I could be someone else in the world,
You could spend time with, not
oh,
be.
spend time with.
Yeah,
Oh, wow. That would be,
24 hours. You're spending a day with someone.
okay. I would have to say that it would be, oh, that he's not alive.
Yeah.
The first person that jumped in, I would have to say Michael Mann. I think,
Michael Mann.
yeah, he's a film director. He directed Heat and a whole bunch of Last of the Mohicans, and he's a uh, uh, I admire his the content and entertainment that he's created, and I bet he would have amazing stories about the making of just some iconic movies.
He's
So
got a
I,
new movie coming out called Ferrari with Adam Driver.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
I don't know if that's next year or now. I didn't get to ask you, why didn't you go with film? And if that's what you want to do, what stopped you from
Well,
doing?
I still do. I mean,
I mean, like film more, not video,
yeah.
more film.
Well, it's a I was freelancing in Southern California for 10 years after graduating, and I had no health benefits and not a steady
Tough
paycheck.
business. Tough.
Yeah, and I got an opportunity to be a video journalist at the Naples Daily News, south of us, where I would go out with a print reporter for like this hurricane. Like the print reporter would write the story, and then I would do the video and make a video story to accompany, and it would be on the website. Um, but no, I still write screenplays and I still pursue it. And I have my I kind of have a hobby, which is screenwriting. You know, I don't get paid for it, but hopefully someday I will.
You never know.
I
You
still
said-
chase that dragon.
Yeah, I think there's people writing great stuff. It just never gets made. It's a lot of songs and movies and TV shows and ideas and
Yeah.
good stuff. So you never know. We'll keep an eye out for that. Again, appreciate
Cool.
the time. Contentwithteeth.com. Check it out. Michael Barnes. Appreciate it. We got a full week of Wolff Den, so stay tuned and have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Matt.